is doing the most these days? I think we can fairly say that it's 1 month, one research. Musa Dankwa, good morning, welcome. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much and good morning.
Is it fair to say 1 month, one research from Musa Dankwa?
No, it is 90 days, this one. But in between, we do release some special ones depending upon what we think we need to do.
You are suggesting that there's, or if you like, your research is showing us there's a tightening of the race between John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the run-up to the 2024 elections. Please explain.
Right. Thank you very much for having me, and good morning to you and your listeners. And when we say tightening, we're just comparing the current polling numbers with that of April that we did. And if you look at the polling numbers we published in April, you would realize that Mahama was on 54.3%, Bawumia on 34.9%, Alan was on 7.5%, Nana Kwame Bediako on 2.3%, others were 1%. Now, the July poll shows that Mahama has dropped to 51.1%. That represents 3.2% drop over the period. And Bawumia has moved to 8.2%. That is plus 3.2%. And then Alan has dropped to 5.3%. That's about 2.2% drop. And Nana Kwame Bediako has doubled his performance from 2.3 to 4.6%, representing 2.3% increase over the period. And that's the candidate lost about 0.2%. So these are the movements within the candidates' polling numbers. Yes, it shows that the list has tightened, but the gap is a double-digit gap, and there's no runoff expected from this poll.
I see. Now, let's talk about your sample size and the methodology that you employed before we get into the other issues.
Right. What we do in this country is what we call the cross-sectional poll. Cross-sectional means that you don't interview the same people all the time. You go to sampling fields and interview people you meet in various places to pick randomly. So it's cross-sectional. And we interviewed 7,931 voters,
right,
of which 7,398 answered all the questions, meaning about 7% dropped along the line. But their views were also important on certain aspects.
In terms of first-time voters, how many did you capture in your, in terms of the percentage, if you look at the demographics? Walk me through. First-time voters, for example, how many?
Let me get the data for you quickly. First-time voters were about
92.7,
about 15%, 14.6%.
Right.
First-time.
And then those who are old Dwades who are in it, like the older generation.
Fact, there's a clarification here.
Right.
The first-time voters are not just young people.
Okay.
There are people who are 40 years that they've never voted before, that they want to vote now.
Okay.
So it means that they never in their life cast a vote in our election.
The results of this research that you have, is it the case that the people think that the current dispensation, that is Nana-Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's led government, is not doing so well, which is what may be giving John Mahama that leap ahead in this research?
Constantly over a period, there has been some issues that affect the chance of MPP. The first is the perception of voters about where we are headed as a country. 63% of Ghanaians believe that Ghana is headed in the wrong direction. Only 27% believe we are headed in the right direction. And 10% do not have opinion. So overwhelmingly, people believe that we're headed in the wrong direction. And when you come to people's standard of living, which affects how they would vote. Now, 47% of respondents or voters are saying that compared to the last year, their standard of living has gotten worse. 21% said it has improved. And 27% said it is unchanged. So largely, if you add the unchanged and worsened, you're looking at about 74% of voters saying that things are not going well. And with this backdrop of data, it is very difficult to see the ruling government win the election.
The regional distribution of this, because we do know that there are swing regions, there are home regions, etc. What did you see per this research on the field as to the regional representation or the distribution?
In terms of the number of people we interviewed or the numbers?
In terms of the numbers, so you're talking about Dr. Bawumia gaining a few numbers here, John Mahama losing here, Kwame Bediako gaining a few here, Alan losing here. What is the regional distribution?
Okay, if you look at the Ahafo region, compared to April, Bawumia declined from 58 to 51%. And Mahama went up from 35 to 30%, from 25 to 30%.
Right.
But in the Ashanti region, Mahama dropped from 31 to 21%. And Bawumia moved from 54 to 66%, 66%.
Right.
And Alan dropped from 12 to 8%. Bediako doubled from 2 to 4%. So the increase in Bawumia's numbers in Ashanti region were the key drivers of his recovery in the poll. If you look at the Bono region, it is tied. Mahama 45, Bawumia 47. If you look at the Bono East, Mahama is 55, Bawumia is 30%. If you look at the Central region, it is very, very messy there. Mahama 39, Bawumia 30, Alan 13, Kwame Bediako 13%. If you come to Eastern region, Mahama on 34%, Bawumia on 49, Alan on 6%. Bediako on 10%. In the Greater Accra, Mahama is on 64, Bawumia 31%, Alan 3%, Kwame Bediako 2%. Northeast, Mahama 45, Bawumia 52, Alan 1%, Bediako 3%. And then if you look at the Northern region, Mahama is 55, Bawumia 44.
92.7.
If you look at the OT,
right,
Mahama 4, Bawumia on 37.
Right.
Savannah, Mahama 70, Bawumia 25. Upper East, Mahama 62, Bawumia 32. And then Upper West, Mahama 66%, Bawumia 29. Volta, Mahama 76, Bawumia 14, Bediako 7, Alan 3%. Western region, Mahama 52, Bawumia 36, Alan 7, Nana Kwame Bediako 4%. In the Western North, Mahama 52, Bawumia 39, Alan 3, Nana Kwame Bediako 5%. So everywhere, Bediako has doubled his performance.
I see. Now, I'm looking at the statistics one more time. You ask voters who would accept bribes or inducements to make a decision at the polls. 7% said they would do that. Is that enough to tip the scales in favor of whichever candidate has the wherewithal to do so, to induce the voters?
No. In fact, it tells them that if they do that, they're just losing money. Because the current voters we have are not the same people who voted in Rawlings time. These are different voters.
The public's confidence in the police and the Electoral Commission also suffered a big blow, according to your findings. What are the statistics? Drill down for me.
Now, if you look at the data from this survey, in April, the police enjoyed 64% confidence. Now it has dropped to 58%.
3FM,
if you look at those who said they have no confidence in the police, it was low 28, now it's gone to 33%. And then for those who didn't have opinion, it moved from 8 to 9%. So you could see that the electioneering activities during the voter registration may have accounted for this crisis in confidence for the police.
Last minute projects, will they have any effect on the election?
No, according to voters, only 29% believe, saying that yes, if the government does that, it will influence how they vote. 56% said it will have no influence on how they vote. And 50% were indifferent. It will neither have or have impact on how they vote.
Musa Dankwa, thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful.
It's my pleasure.
Musa Dankwa is the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, and they brought us the 2024 General Elections National Opinion Poll issued on the 2nd of July 2024 on governance in general elections. And the executive summary suggests that the latest poll by the organization is that the presidential race is tightening up amid a narrowing nationwide tour by the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The poll shows that DMB has narrowed John Dramani Mahama's lead in the poll by approximately 3% compared to the April 2022 poll. JDM now leads DMB with 51.1% and to 38.2%. Alan Tremanting, 5.3%. Nana Kwame Bediako, 4.6%. And all the others, nearly 1%. The poll also shows that in the event of a runoff, JDM is on 52%, DMB 42%, and 6% of voters are undecided. Well, what does that mean for the duopoly that we have in the country presently? We'll talk about that later when we activate the phone lines for you to also have a voice to share your opinion. It's 15 minutes after 8 here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We told you about a conversation that we will table with the board chairman of the National Road Safety Authority, Mr. JMD Nkrumah. He is here in flesh and blood, joins us now to answer some of your nagging issues and the questions that you have raised. Chief, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I am greater than Accra.
Greater than Accra?
Yes.
That's a good one.
Good to see you.
All right.
How is the Road Safety Authority doing?